Yeah, that we can't hear you.
I'm going to have to shout. I'm sorry, it's been my third day of talking, so I'll try and enunciate. So my first question is, what was your relationship to Margaret, and what was it about Margaret's story that made you, push you to make your first film?
Margaret's spirit grabbed me by the scruff of my neck and booted me through the directing door. I had no intention of ever doing such a thing, but there was, honestly, it was an exorcist moment where the power of Margaret compelled me, and I made a rash promise that I could come up with the money and find producers and get it done. And then I was in so deep, I just had to follow through. And from that very first email to being at South by Southwest and Sundance was 2.5 years, which is pretty quick, actually. So.
Wow.
One of the things that is remarkable about this story is the amount of access that you had both to Margaret's personal archive and also all of the war footage, and you weave it perfectly. And I just wanted to know what was the process? Did you have to collaborate with? I'm guessing some of the contributors like Jeff and Joe were very important in the process.
Yes, Joe was actually the heir to Margaret's entire estate, which was basically a suitcase full of memories and 25 cats, which he looked after for many years until the last one died when we just began this. So he was a really good friend, and that was paramount to her. But the film footage, I found I just got on the phone in New Zealand and started ringing around and found a friend of a friend of a friend back in art school who had that image of her looking straight at the camera, a la Andy Warhol, shot in 1975, I think. And it was in a little tin of 16 mil. 16 mil. And that was just a great find. The rest is Margaret's. And some I found by sheer good luck. I was just researching, say, Karma at the end there online. And I went, oh my God, that's got to be Margaret in the back of that shot. So I looked, who's the kid who shot this? It was an Iranian kid who just happened to be there before and went back the day of the massacre. That's why I have all those films. Margaret had been there, but all the tapes had been destroyed because you can imagine they shot on beta. So you're out in the field, you edit in the field, you reuse those tapes. And then they're all destroyed because nobody could store things digitally. So very frustrating. Plus, camera people didn't get credits. So I tried to make it comport with Margaret's press passes and her passport stamps. And anecdotally, I knew where she was for some big events. But there is a good amount of archive in there. And CNN was very good to us in giving us access to whatever they had. But like I say, so much had been lost to just the sands of time.
One of the things I find remarkable about the film is both the visual and sound devices that you use, especially with the model and the recreation. I just wanted to know what was your inspiration and what was the process in discovering that, especially, I find it remarkable, especially as a first-time filmmaker.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, our limitations were, sometimes your limitation is what gives you style, like we just didn't have, there's no images for when Margaret's in her nadir, the dark night of her soul. So there's no images for when you're driving to work, they're not running the cameras. So she was sitting in the back of the van with all her colleagues when she was shot. So how do I tell that story? So we had to create it. And somebody said, what about diorama? And as a kid of the 70s, I was like, we know diorama. I was like, this is so old, it's new again. And then we compounded that feeling, like in the Sarajevo scene of something ominous coming with the soundscape. So you make it a bit submarine. I wanted it to be really pressured and a bit claustrophobic to enhance your experience of that moment. And sound is one of the most important subliminal things, sound and music, that can enhance or tweak the audience experience.
My final question before I throw it out to you guys is, as much as it is about Margaret, it's also championing journalism and truth telling and I feel like this film is very, very prescient and poignant considering the kind of state of affairs and in the kind of increasing scrutiny that we have towards the media. And I think what would be the message that you want to take away with this film in terms of how we view the media?
I want people to know that Margaret, actually, she's not the most important journalist. She's not she's not even the best camera person or whatever. It's not about that. It's these people, all her cohort, always have been and at this very moment are putting their lives on the line to bring us the truth of what they're seeing. They were trying to speak in images for the voiceless, the innocent victims of war. That's who they care about. How the message is packaged at the other end is not within their control. But they are literally dying to bring us the truth. So, yeah, I'd like to encourage some real respect for these people. They need respect and protection because they are being targeted like never before. Margaret was the first in a wave of going after the messenger. So this is happening every single day.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, hello, at the back.
Hey, have any war correspondents or journalists seen the film, and have you had reactions from them yet? Has it been widely seen enough for there to be a response from that community?
Yes, they loved it. They understand that I'm not. See, this is not journalism, and I had to be really clear with them. I'm not a journalist. I'm not interested in objective truth. Because I don't know who's a reliable narrator. People could be utterly lying to me, you know what I mean? I'm not going to go gunning for them and saying, hang on, that's not true, Yashinka or Jeff or whomever. Because it's the audience's privilege to infer through your own prism. And that's what I love humanity, the messy, slippery business of being alive. And we get things wrong, and it's okay. And also regarding any kind of historical reporting, sometimes the truth is this sort of like an aggregate of many different points of view, and that's how you get truth. It unfolds in time. So there's an adage that in war the first casualty is the truth, and that's why you gotta be vigilant. You know, ask just. Before you act, before you get crazy, you got to run it through your own sense of decency and just wait a bit, because what you're hearing might not be the truth. But these images, people are dying to bring you. You know, you can believe them at least.
One question. You are certainly known for like your fearless female characters. I wonder, is there a different sort of nuance to telling a woman's story in a film versus in a sort of episodic TV format?
That's a very complicated question. Is it different being a female to?
Well, just mean like, is there a difference in sort of telling a story from a woman's perspective in a TV format that's different than being able to tell it in a film format? I don't control anything as an actor. Only the way I spin a line. Then you can't touch me. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. But I'm still saying other people's words that serve somebody else's story. When you do a film, especially if you've generated it from the beginning, it's much more personal and a much more demanding kind of focus. I've been incredibly mentally unavailable to anybody for a couple of years. But I want to say one thing that you've made me think of. The female gaze that they talk about doesn't belong only to women, but the female gaze is when you're interested in personal motivations, rather than a sequence of facts, just the facts man. That would be what was traditional journalism is what we call the male gaze, whereas, say, Francis Ford Coppola's version of The Godfather is, to my mind, the female gaze, because he's interested in the interpersonal, the personal motivations, and so yeah, that would be my slant is definitely female gaze, because I only care about people's subjective truths.
Yeah, that as far as I know, that this is your first directorial debut. Do you plan on doing any more documentaries or films?
Yes, I'm actually working on 2 scripted things at the moment because now I was always like, I don't want to work with actors, boring, boring, boring. And now I'm like, oh, no, again, now I know how to make a story without them. Now you put in what is my bread and butter. Now we've got, this might be interesting. You know? So,
And then can you tell us what you're working on or not?
one is the sort of, it's a story of a woman, a graphic artist, who drew her experience of a psychotic break where she got sectioned and drew her way out of it. So it's kind of putting you, the audience member, in the first person position of seeing the, great big, let's say, like dog coming towards you. Because we see those people screaming at a lamppost in the street, and we just go, drugs bad. But it's like for a moment seeing it how they see it, and the grace that comes with support, medication, time, healing. So it's a fun romp through psychosis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing it in a couple of years' time as Half-Life.
Thank you for your time.
I'd like to remind you this program is open audience. Please remember